Pam, I appreciate you giving me this chance to cook this omelet.
Well, great, David. You know, you are kind of thought of as the omelet king at our extension office, as you like to treat us to an occasional omelet.
All right. Well, we're going to cut the iron over here, and I'm going to use a little bit. I'm going to save this part here of the spring onion for another project that I've got going on. And I'll use, actually you can use a spring onion all the way up, and this will give us a little bit of green right here in the omelet. And I don't have a lot of green today in the rest of it, so here we go. We'll start with that, and then with the mushrooms. Now, this is actually a portobello mushroom, and I couldn't find the shiitake mushrooms locally. Locally, shiitake mushrooms are normally what we grow here. I've helped several people grow the shiitake mushrooms, and it is a similar mushroom as far as taste and what have you, but the portobellos will do if I can't get what I want. And we'll put them in here. Of course, you could put a lot of other things in here too for the protein part of it. You could put the ham or
well, you really don't need
chicken.
any more protein because those eggs are filled with protein.
Oh yeah, I love to have some
They
protein.
are filled with protein.
All right, pan's getting a little hot here. Let me cool it down just a touch. And a little bit of olive oil, which mushrooms do real good with butter, but every time I say butter, the nutritionists sort of cringe, so I'm gonna swap over and use a little bit of olive oil for the mushrooms.
How much would you say you put in there, David?
On the olive oil? Enough to keep them from sticking, because I don't have a non-stick pan here.
Okay.
If I had a non-stick pan, I wouldn't have to use as much, but mushrooms taste a little bit better if they get a little bit of butter or oil on them, quite honestly. So there we go on that.
And you know, if you had a non-stick pan, that would make your cooking job a little bit easier.
Easy.
Easier.
Okay.
Oh, easy. That's right. Omelets are very easy.
All right. Well, I'm going to let that heat up just a little bit right there. And then I am going to get me a couple of other things set up here. We've got some of our goat cheese, which again, this is another fat, so you've got to be careful. And you've told me before about the size of a dice is 3 dice is a serving, right?
One dice represents 1 ounce. So you're probably putting in about 3 ounces of goat cheese.
Okay.
Or Gouda cheese. I'm sorry, Gouda cheese. And
Made from goats.
And
Yep.
this came from the farmer's market.
It
right?
did. It did. And we'll also get a little bit of and you can use these mushrooms raw, but I prefer them cooked, and so that's why I'm going to pre-cook them a little bit. I got my cheese ready here. I'll get me a little bit of this pepper here.
Well, now, David, did you wash this pepper?
I did.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
To wash your produce. On those cherry tomatoes, I doubt they've been sprayed, quite honestly, but it's just a habit to get into. And I wash my hands too, Pam.
Well, good. I know you don't make me sound that way, but it's really important that we
It
wash
is.
our produce and, of course, wash our hands.
And the other thing that is not obvious yet, but it'll be obvious, I hope, is I'm trying to prevent cross-contamination from the eggs to the vegetables. We can't really be sure that we've not contaminated vegetables if we're not careful. And you'll notice by the time I'm finished that I'm very careful with that.
Good.
So anyway, I've got a few peppers right there, and we'll put in a few of these cherry tomatoes right here. I like the red cherry tomatoes because of the color contrast with the yellow of the egg, but I grow some real nice yellow cherry tomatoes too, and they will not color contrast as well, but they really taste pretty good. So here we go. All right, let me bring back my other items right here.
Well, those mushrooms are looking good and tender.
All right.
Let me move that so we can see it better.
All right. Now, keep that heating up a little bit and get it hot enough to kill all the bacteria in there. Next thing we got to do is we got to crack the eggs. And Pam, you ought to learn how to crack them with one hand.
Well,
Right.
David, I crack on the side of a container. So you're showing off and you're cracking on the cabinet. That's fine.
Well, the little kids are impressed by this. Now, women normally not. My wife's never impressed with
I
this.
am not impressed because you're going to have a greater potential or chance of getting eggshells in there. Oh my goodness, and those eggs are just rolling around your hand.
Okay, That's why I'm gonna wash my hands. My hands are now contaminated. I go to the sink and I wash my hands, and the counter is contaminated. So I will bring back a towel and wipe the counter off.
A soapy towel. That's great, David.
All right, there we go. Now, a lot of people will like to put water or milk or something in here, and I've seen people separate the eggs, egg whites, and milk and solve it and all that, and it doesn't taste quite as good in my opinion. I like to just use this.
With you, but I
this
like
is going to give you the best taste. You can add milk or add water, or water is probably a better solvent, but anyway, if we get it going like that, now, we are ready to put it in here.
Our Cook Smart, Eat Smart book that we have in extension will give you some definite combinations and ideas. David, and I guess you're just kind of putting in whatever you have in the omelet.
Yeah, if I have it and I want it, that's the two keys.
Oh, if you have it and you want it.
Yeah, no other combination will work. You know, if you, and you want to cut this back down and cool it back off, or you damage your oil a little bit there. Yeah, if you don't have it, you don't put it in there. If you have it and you don't want it, you don't put it in there. If you don't want it and don't have it, you don't put it in there, you know. So
Dave, that didn't make a lot of sense, but I think what you're trying to say is if it's in the kitchen sink, you'll use it, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Anything but the kitchen sink. You're going to get me throwing the kitchen sink in here yet. Okay, let me put a little bit of this across here and a little bit of this.
Now, I notice your pan is hot. And you're really not touching the omelet mixture at all right now. You're just letting it sit. Is that correct?
That's it. You got to let it sit just a little bit of while here. And actually, I've got that end of the pan a little bit hotter than this end right here. Bring my stuff across here, divvying it up. And sometimes, you know, if one person wants an item and doesn't, I'll leave one side blank for them to use right there. But at this point in time, use a spatula. Which your spatula would be good if it was a little bit longer than that, a little bit longer handle. I had a good one time, but it got away from me. So here we go. Flip it over like that, and push this on up on the eye to heat it a little bit more. And
so you're going to do a triple fold, almost an envelope fold?
Yeah, I will. And don't worry about it if it falls apart. That's good, because it's good to have the vegetables invisible in sight. You know, if a few of them get kicked out here, I just throw it on top. Now, the real professionals, I'm an amateur pan, but the real professionals will take these non-stick pans and they'll cook everything on top of it, and when they flip it out of your plate, they'll sort of flip it over like that. That's impressive. I can't do that.
That's impressive, okay.
Yeah, I have to do it this way here. Give me another chance here to flip it the rest of the way.
Well, you're impressive in the fact that you're doing a three-way or an envelope fold. A lot of times omelets are just folded in half. So
now, we want to make sure that that's done, and we'll be ready to
David, you can probably eyeball that, but if you wanted to use a digital thermometer, you would be cooking the eggs to about 160 degrees.
160, which if it's runny, it ain't 160.
That's right. Might need to cook just another second.
It's not ready yet. Time, patience on omelets. Now, some other combinations that spinach is a good one. Use spinach and cheese inside of an omelet. That does an excellent job like that. I will also, like I said, use ham at times, chicken. I will use turkey. I don't like to use the beef or the venison. I have, you know, but they don't do quite as well as a combination. Tomatoes, I love tomatoes, but if it's out of season during the winter and I've got some canned salsa, I might use salsa on that. If it is the peppers, some people like to use hot peppers. I'm not much into jalapeno peppers, but I've seen it done. You could use that. And then you can use a whole range of spices, you know, like your basil. If you want to do a basil and cheese omelet like that, you could do that. You could do rosemary. There's a number of different things that you could do to make that work. Pamela, you think it's good enough for you now?
Well, David, you're the chef, so...
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
That cherry tomato certainly does look great. Gives it a little bit of color, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I say. If things fall out, you can just get them over there, and we'll cut that off. And
David, you know, an omelet is one step. The next step is a frittata. And a frittata is very similar to an omelet, but you don't have to do any of the turning, and you just cook it in your pan.
Right.
And I bet you could do that for us for next staff conference, a frittata.
Well, the trick on a frittata is a little bit lower heat than what I had here. And the other thing is, towards the end, you can cover it up and cook the top of
And
it a little
set
bit
it
better.
a little bit better.
With a frittata. But with the omelets here, these are real quick. Normally, about 9 minutes from the time I walk in the kitchen, I can have an omelet sitting on the table. And that looks pretty good on it.
It looks delicious.
Well, until next time, let's eat smart and eat local.
I know in my heart I've been a lucky one. However far apart, you'll be the only